In 2000, we bought an abandoned 100-acre farm in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. We spent years cleaning it up, built a new house, and now are trying to make it a functional homestead farm. Welcome to Red Toolhouse.
Well, one thing we wanted to do is try to just give updates in each episode as we record. We'll be recording at different times. Try to talk over the angry pigs here. May not work. We wanted to give updates of where we are and just a certain spot when we're recording, just kind of give updates as people follow along. They can kind of see the progression of what we're dealing with. Last night, probably between 1 inch and 2 inches of rain, so it's really muddy around here right now. It's the Red Toolhouse mud pit. That's what we're dealing with. But as far as the update on the pigs goes, we have our 26 that we're raising for processing. They're coming up on about 100 pounds, a little over 100 pounds now. Coming up on 5 months old. Eating a lot. We're feeding out quite a bit of feed each day. They still have access to pasture, of course. This time of year, a lot of the forage is dropping off, so they'll rely more heavily on the feed. We have our 4 sows as well. We have one scheduled to go to process. She's starting to show her age and weight. She's about 600 plus pounds, and it's really been difficult for her to breed. We've had 2 attempts of breeding her and haven't had any success. So she's scheduled to go to the processor soon. As far as the chickens are chickens. They're doing what they're doing. We're up to 62 now, and they're laying. We just got the transition from regular light to artificial light. We boost their egg production just by using extra 4 hours of light in the coop. That helps keep them going. Now we will give them a break later on in the winter, let them kind of stock up again and kind of relax, kind of rest from egg production, and we'll start again. Well, it's also firewood season, and we've been skidding in logs for firewood. Some of our collection here, this is all ash, and unfortunately the emerald ash borer is just decimating ash trees in our area. They kill the trees pretty quickly, so we're trying to get as much cut and brought in for firewood as we can, or used for other purposes to the sawmill. Good thing about ash is for firewood you can split it and take it straight to the wood burner and not have any issues. It's one of those that burns pretty quickly. But the whole north ridge over here there's a lot of ash on the top of the ridge, and it's really dying out because of the ash borer. So I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to cut enough of it, or cut it fast enough to be able to use it before it all rots down. So it's a shame. It's beautiful wood and has a lot of usefulness, but we're going to try to make the best of it. Well, something we've done recently is milled some lumber. We cut down some poplar and some Virginia pine in our pasture area back over here, in this area. You can't see where I'm pointing. That we're clearing. Wanted to get some of the timber out. The goal was to build a corral. We want to be able to be. We wanted to be a little bit more efficient in how we load our pigs when it comes time for processing. Last year it was a little flying by the seat of our pants, just trying to lure them into the trailer. This time we want to make a corral with a head gate and get them used to it so they can come in and out. But milling the logs, it produces really good lumber. We got some poplar wood and some pine here, and really sturdy. Works great, and it's a great way to utilize the logs, the trees that we're cutting. I hate to just burn or bury. It makes a great resource, and we can use it for building construction projects around here. So this is what we've been working on recently, trying to put the corral together and get that ready, get the pigs used to it. We'll let them come in and out when we get it going. Take the electric fence off of it so they're not scared of it, and you kind of get them used to this process.
In spring of 2013, we decided to purchase 3 piglets. I wasn't quite ready to have pigs on the farm, but the price was good and spring was in the air, so we felt eager to get into that. We purchased 3 piglets that had just been weaned. 2 were Hampshire and 1 was a landrace. All of them were female. There's actually a a funny story behind that. We found this farm that was about an hour's drive away where we went to purchase the piglets. And the farmer was very nice, had a great selection there, so we chose our 3. And he asked us, how are you guys going to transport these home? And we said, well, in the back of our Xterra. We had a Nissan Xterra at the time. In the back of our Xterra, we're going to transport them. We brought a couple dog cages. We'll stuff them in. The guy kind of looked at us funny and laughed. He said, well, that should be fun. So we kind of crammed these 3 piglets into these cages, and we start down the road. Now this is some West Virginia back windy roads that we're traveling. It had about an hour drive home, and we quickly discovered that those piglets were not very happy being in the back of the moving vehicle in the little cages on the windy roads. They quickly became very unhappy and very incontinent. The 4 of us, Kelly and the boys, we all rode home with our heads out the windows because the smell was so intense from where the pigs kind of exploded in the back of the car. So as we get them home, we of course quickly get them out and put them in a pasture area there. I actually put them in our old garden space. I didn't even have any pasture area ready. Put them in there, and I had to commence to scrubbing the back of the car. One thing that I would suggest, and the takeaway from this initial purchase of these pigs was, I just can't stress enough how important infrastructure is. I was in no means ready to have piglets on the farm, but yet I felt, bad judgment. The excitement got ahead of me. I was not ready. So even when I got them home, we didn't even have a place to put them, and I knew I couldn't keep them in the cages. We happened to have a small garden space in the backyard that was fenced in to keep the deer out, so I was able to put them in there, and that allowed me to go a couple days until I could get a game plan together. What I had to do was build a small fenced-in area. It ended up enclosing about 2,000 square feet down near where we're now building the barn. And my game plan was to build this, enclose it in woven fence, and that should last them for a long time. They had a little seasonal stream running through it. I thought this would be a great place for them to be able to graze a little bit, to get in the water, to wallow, and all that type of thing. I quickly realized as they grew pretty fast, and of course were extremely destructive. They decimated that 2,000 square feet of grass in no time. So quickly I discovered, I've got to expand. I've got to get them out of here. And that's when I turned to electric fence and building pasture more with electric fence. So as the pigs grew, we decided to put together our plan. We wanted to try to breed 2 of them and butcher the 3rd. And we kind of just did a beauty contest, basically. We kept an eye on who was growing the best and who was growing the worst. And this one shows better genetics than this one. And so we picked the top 2 and said, okay, you're going to be our breeding stock. And the other one lost the contest and ended up going to freezer camp. The 2 pigs we ended up keeping were, one was a land race and the other was a Hampshire. The boys named one of them Molly and the other one Abigail. So they were quickly our chosen breeding pair, 2 females, of course. We were going to do artificial insemination, so we had these 2 that we were going to breed, and hopefully see how that turned out. Again, didn't know anything about doing AI, only what we had seen on the internet and listened to on some podcasts, so we were really just starting from scratch on that. Didn't have any idea if it was going to work. But fortunately enough, as we bred the 2, they both took on the first try. We had a very simple gestation period, no issues there. Yeah, they made it through the winter fine, and then a good farrowing in the spring. Abigail, the Hampshire, actually had a little bit of difficulty. She was slower in farrowing. She took about 16 hours actually to farrow all 10 of her litter. And then Molly was just like a Pez dispenser. She was shooting piglets out one right after the other. She started farrowing at 9 p.m. and at 3 hours later she was done with 12 really viable piglets. Beautiful. So we had 22 piglets between the 2 of them. They farrowed within about 36 hours of one another. So we went from 2 sows to 2 sows and 22 piglets in just a matter of days. And things quickly got busy on the farm. And I was really impressed. I've been told in hindsight that I was extremely lucky because we had 0 loss. We didn't have any stillborn. We didn't have any crushed by the mothers, and no issues at birthing. So we were really, really blessed in that first situation. I thought, wow, this is really easy. And I came to discover that obviously it was first beginner's luck, first time try. Everything went well there, but we learned on down the road that there are complications you run into. So with 22 piglets running around, we weren't quite sure if we were going to be able to finish that many. Of course, finishing that many, you have to feed them, you have to maintain them, you have to have enough pasture for them and fence space, and of course shelter in the cold weather months. So we weren't sure. We thought, well, let's just try to sell some at weaning and see how many people take interest to that. So we ended up selling 3. Thought maybe that'd be a good number to go out. So that left us 19. We castrated all the male pigs, which we'll do a discussion of that later. We actually have some video of castration that we'll do in an upcoming episode. But we castrated all of our male pigs and just decided to finish out 19. We ended up selling 15 to customers that purchased for processing, either whole or halves, and then the other 4, 2 we kept for ourselves, and then the other 2 we used as breeders. We wanted to have 4 breeders for the next season, so we had 2 we kept for breeders, 2 we processed for ourselves, and then 15 went to processing for our customers. So after we took all those to processing, that left us 4 pigs that we were going to breed. Molly was one of those, but she didn't breed. She miscarried twice and was showing signs of age and weight. Just wasn't working out. So we only had 3 that bred this last spring, and they produced good litters. We had a good turnout from them. So we had 30 viable piglets from our 3 sows. Later in that week, that first week, we ended up having 2 crushed. The 2 of the sows had laid down on their babies, so the 2 of them were crushed. And we had promised 2 after weaning to one of our neighbors that had helped us with transporting. He had been very gracious in transporting our hogs last year with his trailer, and so we worked out a deal that in exchange for all the transport, that we would give him 2 piglets after weaning. So that's where we have now. We have 26 piglets that are growing on the farm. We're going to finish those and have those ready for processing, and then we still have our 4 sows.
Well, these are our breeding sows here, and this is our 2 originals are this landrace and that Hampshire, and they are our matriarchs. This is Molly. She is she's not the most sweet-tempered pig. She's gotten a little ill-tempered as she gets old. She's kind of become an old maid. She's a substantial size hog. She's probably 600 pounds plus. I just absolutely love the nibble on my fingers right now. She is. We've tried. She's produced 1 litter. In fact, Mercy behind her is one of her offspring that we kept. But she had a really good litter, fared great, but just has never been able to breed afterwards. We've tried her twice, and she carried for a little while and lost. She's exhibiting some just stiffness in the joints and things. Figure that she's just put on weight a little too fast. So we're going to. She's had a great life here, but we're going to send her to be processed, because that's what you do with pigs. Abigail, she's been producing well. She's been a good pig, and she's going to stay on. So we're going to breed these 3. This is Merida, and then Mercy and Molly. So we're going to breed them. And we'll try them again, hopefully in December, so we can get our farrowing schedule kind of back to where we don't have pigs on winter pasture as much. So we'll see. Again, it's going to be bittersweet to get rid of Molly. She's definitely the hateful. She likes to knock everybody around, and it's kind of rough on the other pigs. A little intimidating for the boys as well. In fact, I usually don't get in here like this and get this close with her. Just you can kind of tell that her tone is a tone of aggravation. As long as I scratch behind her ears, though, she's pretty satisfied. So. Well, one thing we also want to do is highlight some of the items or products or just anything that's worked on the farm really well, really helped us out, what we consider a product review, if you will. Really like certain things, other things are junk. So we thought maybe it'd help if we highlighted some of those and talked about them, and that would maybe steer some people clear of something that didn't work for us, or at least give you an opinion of stuff as you're trying it out. One thing we really like for our chickens is this Bell water. In fact, this is probably the best out of all the watering options we've tried. There's the rooster. Out of all the watering options we've tried, we really like this the best, simply because it's ease to clean, it's maintenance, It's kind of a set and forget type of thing. It's a really interesting concept. The way it works, there's a container under here that holds water or anything to make a ballast, a weight, and it obviously suspends from this string. And what you have is the water actually cascades down the outside of the bell, and there's a spring system in here and a valve also. So basically the bell water is monitoring the weight of the water in this little trough area that they drink from. And so as it starts to lower, the water obviously becomes lighter, and that lifts up, and it makes it engage this spring element. I'll hold it closer to this camera. This spring element, this little plunger, so as it engages, it makes water leak out. So it's just a slow trickle that it produces to replenish the water level. And so it never gets, if you've got it set correctly, it never gets higher than the lip. It's basically refilling water. The water, of course, comes in from this black hose. I actually have it connected around back to a 55-gallon drum. The beauty of that is with 50 or so chickens, I only have to fill this up once a month. Now we're around 62 chickens now, so I have to fill it up a little bit sooner than that. But like last night, we got a couple inches of rain, or maybe an inch of rain, and that really helped fill up some of the puddles around here so they don't drink as much. So the downside to this is it is only a 3-season water. Obviously, being outside like this, it's going to freeze up. So here, within the next couple weeks, we're going to have to bring it inside, or actually, we're not going to be able to use it. We're going to have to switch to a heated watering system. Now, if you had a heated coop that was warm, then you wouldn't have to worry about this. You wouldn't have to worry about this line freezing up so much. It just depends on your setup there. But with ours, this line would freeze very quickly, and being suspended in the air, the trough would freeze up. And of course, we don't want to bust the valve or have any water damage from that type of stuff. Some of the benefits of the bell water is, with it being suspended, I can obviously raise and lower this based upon preferred height with the chickens. And it really keeps the dirt and grit out of it. They don't scratch around it. They don't kick it out. If you've ever had just any of the waters that you just sit down on the ground, within a day you got to clean it up because they've scratched around and kicked so much dirt in it. With this, get it higher. You can see the comparison of the height against this red here. It's not really that big of a deal for her she doesn't have to bend over much. And actually makes it easier for them to drink. They can scoop more water in their beak and more efficiency in their drinking. The bell doesn't actually, something about it, I don't know if it's just the way it's made, the plastic, or maybe it's just the sun, it doesn't really build up a lot of algae. Those white and red bell container waters that you get at Tractor Supply, it seemed like I'd always be building up algae around the lip and be cleaning it every couple of days. This stays fairly clean, just a little bit here on the white, obviously it's going to build up algae. So it's a real benefit there. And again, like I said, with the feed, depending on, I've seen some people hook this up to their water line. So instead of containing a large container of water to replenish, a buddy of mine actually has a pressurized line just from his garden hose. So he never has to fill it up. It's one of those things that's just drawing from his water pressure. So really neat thing to get. I got this one, I believe it's called the Bell-Matic from FarmTek. I got it from Amazon. I'll post the details and the link in the description show notes down at the bottom there, so you can see. I think it was $50 or $60 the shipping and all that. So not a bad investment. Like I said, it's, had it for a season now, so we got it in the spring. So we'll see how it holds up. So I'll be taking it down in the winter. We'll see how it holds up. None of the plastic looks like it's gotten brittle or anything. It's a really good product. I suggest checking it out if you need to water a lot of chickens.
Well, one of the valuable lessons we learned the hard way was free ranging just doesn't work around here. When we first started out, we wanted to try to free range the chickens and really be able to promote that our chickens have run of this entire property and they can eat whatever they want and be wherever they want. And while that's kind of the ideal situation for a chicken, you let a chicken be a chicken, the issue we ran into was not only predation was huge, predators were a big issue around here, but we also just the nuisance. For some reason, our chickens like to gravitate toward the house, hang out on the front porch, and poop everywhere. It's almost like if I've poured concrete, that's where they're going to stand and poop. So after the quality of living for us started to decrease when you step out and you're stepping in chicken poop, you have people over and there's chicken poop, there's chickens sitting on the front porch, that became an issue. What was a real issue was obviously the predators. We have bobcat around here, we have coyote, we even have feral dogs, hawks. Aerial predators were real bad for a while for us. So we decided that we were going to try to cordon those off, and we came up with this pasture. And I'll detail that in a future episode, but just a real valuable lesson that we learned, again, the hard way, was just free ranging just isn't going to work for a lot of the reasons. But again, we lost a lot of chickens. We probably lost over 100 chickens throughout the course of that free ranging time. And it'd be one of those situations where you'd come down and in the morning to check on them, to feed, do whatever the case may be, and they would still go to the roost at night and get inside the coop. But anytime they were out, say early morning or late evening, something would usually end up getting them, and you just come down and see these little piles of feathers here, or portions of a chicken here, portions of a chicken there, and the raccoons. We set traps for those. So just we're really chasing our tail. So what we've done is we've built this 5,000 square foot pasture here, and then we're going to duplicate that this winter here in this area where I'm standing. This will be another 5,000 square foot pasture, and we'll be able to rotate back and forth. So free ranging, again, while it seems nice and it seems like a great idea, it's just really tough to keep your flock alive. With this rotational process, we'll be able to give them access to, still get access to grass and to be able to scratch around. And of course, in the growing times, the spring and the summer, when grass is growing, the bugs are out, then they'll have access to all that. So it shouldn't be a problem for them then.
Well, one of the questions we get all the time is, what's with the name Red Toolhouse Lumber Company and Farm? Are you guys really a lumber company? Well, yeah, we're not really a lumber company in the sense that we're a big commercial production. The lumber company name was just kind of tongue-in-cheek. We came up with that name when we bought the sawmill, knew we were going to start cutting some wood here for trim purposes and wood shop purposes and our own personal consumption. So we just thought it would be kind of fun to call it a Red Toolhouse Lumber Company and Farm. We added the farm later once we got into farming. The Red Toolhouse, as far as that goes, the Red Toolhouse is the name of the county road that we're on, but the old Red Toolhouse County Road used to actually go right along the ridge of our property, and there used to be an old Red Toolhouse back on the point, the back part of our property, and that's how it got the name Red Toolhouse. As far as the road goes, so we obviously just picked that up. We thought it sounded kind of cool.
Well, that about does it for this episode. Hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you found some information that was somewhat entertaining. Hopefully we'll release more as we go along and just document more of what we've got going on here at the farm. If you would, subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up if you like the content. That helps us grow in rankings and of course encourages us to do more. Visit our website for our blog and back history on the farm. It's redtoolhouse.com. And be sure to give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/Red Toolhouse. And we'll catch you next time.